I didn't know how to protect myself anymore from the monster that I had become. And so I started to rob people and I started to hurt people. And for 20 months, I was just a horrible stain in the world. It became a safety net for me to get into trouble, to catch felonies. I felt like that's what my life was worth.
In partnership with Unlikely Collaborators, we've designed Perception Box questions for communities with shared experiences aimed to broaden self-acceptance and deepen self-understanding. This group of people was all asked, "What are you most afraid is true about you?" These are their answers.
When I was 5 years old, I started to get molested by my uncle. And over the course of the next 6 years of my life, I was molested by more than 5 men. So when I was 7, I broke into a church and I got charged with a felony and put on probation. And when I got put on probation, all the men that were molesting me went away. And so when I got off probation, they all came back. And so I went and broke the law again and got put on probation again. So my whole life, I continued to go out and break the law. I would purposely go out and catch felonies because this is how I protected myself. My mother didn't care. I didn't have any other family members. And so to protect myself from the abuse, that's what I would do. And I told on my uncle, and his threats came true because he would tell me as a little kid when he was molesting me, if you tell anybody, I'll have to hurt the whole family. And while he didn't hurt the family like he thought, when I told on him, he went to prison and my whole family fell apart. We no longer went to grandma's house. There was no more aunts, no more uncles, no more cousins. Everybody blamed me. It was my fault. And it turned me into this reclusive kid. And it made me a target in school because I had no self-confidence. I was horribly bullied going through school. And by the time I was 15, I had 10, 12 felonies on my record. And so the judge was sick of me and bound me over to adult court. When I went in at 16, he sent me to prison. And I had never been taken away before. I had never been locked up. So I didn't know what was coming. And I was just this abused kid from the country. And they put me in prison when I was 16, and I was raped the first week I was there by 2 men at knife point. And it turned me into a savage. And I became this very violent human being because that became my source of protection. And I no longer feared physical pain. I no longer feared felonies. I had resolved that I was going to spend the rest of my life in prison. And when I was 21, they opened the doors and sent me back to the world with $75 and 3 condoms and no parole, no probation. And I didn't know how to protect myself anymore from the monster that I had become. And so I started to rob people and I started to hurt people. And for 20 months, I was just a horrible stain in the world. And I was ultimately convicted of 15 more felonies and sent back to prison for 12 more years. And it became a safety net for me to get into trouble, to catch felonies. I felt like that's what my life was worth. And ultimately spent 18 years. So that was my secret.
Can I ask where you're at today?
Today, I'm super happy. I was given 5 years in solitary confinement while I was in prison, and I met a Muslim man who changed my life. He became my mentor, taught me about processing emotion, taught me about forgiveness of others and myself, taught me about kindness and compassion and love, and I've dedicated my life to that ever since. I am so whole and healed, and I spend my life helping people do it.
What advice would you give to any boy or man going through any similar experiences you went through?
Speak. Tell somebody, right? Our voice is our healing mechanism. Our voice is what can save us. It's what can stop the abuse. Speak. Say something. Tell anybody that you can. There's a lot of boys going through it. And I just want to, if I could, I'd heal the world, right? And so I hope that my life and my story are somehow help, right? Sorry.
No, it's okay. Thank you so much for sharing. And we already know that it's going to make a huge impact on other people's lives once they hear it too. If you can relate at all to Sonny's secret, you may step forward on 3. 1, 2, 3. You may turn around.
Nobody else caught purposeful felonies?
Nobody here can relate, but I'm sure we know that so many people will. So thank you for sharing.